We were just talking with Brian about your long history with the team, and I think I would just like to start by saying thanks for all the great work that you have done. I know we're in the radio business we can be critical, but there've been a lot of stories about you guys over the last week going into this draft, and the great job that you've done with this department since you took over in 2014. You're getting great scores. How do you feel about this one, Will?
I feel really good about this one. And it stems from starting all the work that the college scouts do, the area scouts, and then the top guys, and then putting it together and they've been at a difficult position over the past 2 years. Typically with our collaborative sort of effort that we use, it's the scouts spending time with the coaches, being around it, being familiar, hearing the language, and making it that much easier. But for 2 years, they haven't really been around the coaches. And so the work that they've put in, that leads to us having good drafts and having all the information and having a chance to, do some good things in the draft.
Well, I know you guys were in a situation where you were kind of holding on 2 picks there with Sam Williams and then with Tolbert, and try and talk that through and execute it and maybe set it up how you needed to. How much of was it a difficult time there sweating that pick, to try and get Tolbert to you guys? Was that something that you knew that was going to be close, or did you feel like that, that's going to give us the best opportunity to get both those players?
We felt it was going to be close, and then looking at, part of the draft thing, as you well know, Brian, is being able to kind of play the market, so to speak, and understand, there's a lot of this, a little of that, people have it different, those sort of things. But we knew that we liked both players, and there was a total of probably 5 to 6 players within that area that we liked. And what we did was we stuck by the board, and it fell the right way.
Will McClay here with you on The Fan. Okay, how about the first rounder, Tyler Smith? Do you see him as an immediate starter?
I see him as a young man. Any of these guys coming in, they're going to compete to start. I mean, to say somebody's going to come in and be an immediate starter, I think we have good players here. We wanted to add good players to that mix, and the best way to find out about somebody is put competition in front of them, and that brings out the best of everyone. So if we have competitive people, that gives us a chance. Can he start? He has ability to start, but I'm not promising anything to anybody or saying anything crazy. It's going to be a good battle.
I like that, making a guy earn it, but with a first round pick, isn't it usually expected that you have the qualities to come in and at least be an impact player in year one?
Yeah, and that impact can come in a number of different ways, and potentially starting, potentially being a swing guy, just adding something to us where it's depth and we feel good about the depth. That's great. But yeah, you want your first round pick to start, and that's the way we're going to put the competition up to it. And if he wins it, it'll be because he earned it, and if he doesn't, it'll be because somebody else beat him out.
Well, I really do. I love the pick that you made with John Ridgeway, the defensive tackle from Arkansas. And I know in my evaluation of the board I put together, I had him on the 3rd round on my board. And I love the kid's toughness. I love the way that he's able to control the middle of that defense. Can you kind of walk me? Again, over the draft weekend, I talked about how much I love the player. I'm interested to hear what you think about the player and what your vision is for him in this defense.
It's a big man's game, and big men that do the right things and know who they are. He's not a guy that's going to say, "Oh, put me in on 3rd down because I want to rush the passer." No, he's going to be in on 1st and 2nd downs, and he's going to get us to those situations where maybe he will have a chance to rush. But he knows what he is. He knows what he's all about. He realizes the importance of his role within the defense and within the team. And so, in this day and age where everybody's got their own brand and they want all of that, this guy knows who he is. He knows what he's all about. And that's something that's going to be important to our defense, especially, in our division, moving forward. You got to win the division first. You got to stop the run first.
Yeah, and I didn't have any tape on your tackle from North Dakota, Matt Waletzko there. I mean, it's so unusual to see these players nowadays that are, this group of tight ends, everyone was 6'7", it seemed like, but here's a tackle that's 6'7", 312 pounds, runs near 5 flat. The tape that I was able to see of him, though, that I got later on looks like a really, really good foot athlete, super, super long. Kind of walk us through a thumbnail about the player you see there.
Yeah, what you have is a guy that can play tackle at either side. He's got prototypical measurements, and then he has movement with it. And then to go on top of it is the intelligence and the toughness. And he's not going to let anybody get to the quarterback, and will do whatever he can to stop them from getting to the quarterback. And that was very evident in visiting with him, starting at the Senior Bowl and spending more time with him, and then the area scout being so strong on who he thinks the kid is and how he can help us. But he's got the arm length, and to be 6'7", to be able to bend and to be able to slide laterally and do some of the things that he can do, gives you some hope that he can develop into a starter type player.
Well, okay, you drafted. Here's the second tackle. Can you tell us a little bit about what you think about with how the development of Ball from last year? Are we looking at a guy that you brought in last year and you drafted him, and so it really kind of a year of a redshirt year. Where is Ball right now as far as where you're looking at for your offensive line rotations?
He's a guy that we drafted last year because of the traits that he had, and unfortunately there was an incident, the injury that kind of kept him out the whole year until the end of the year. But what we see out of him is traits, and when you say traits, it's the ability to be able to bend as an offensive lineman, to be able to mirror movement, the ability to anchor the edge. So we see all of those things, and I think it's competition. We've been very fortunate to have a great offensive line for an extended amount of time. But what we have to do is, age and attrition happens to all of us. We want to replenish that. And while you have some of those guys that have brought some Dallas Cowboy offensive line greatness to us, those guys for young players to learn from is also a huge benefit.
It's Will McClay here with you on The Fan. Do you agree with what Jerry and Mike had said about Linderbaum and, offensive linemen that can get knocked back, that you don't want a center of that size and strength in today's game relative to maybe just 10 or 20 years ago?
Hey, Linderbaum is a really, really good player. I don't want to discount his ability for anything, but when you, look at what you're trying to build, certain players fit into certain schemes better. That's why people's draft boards look different. That's why, people will have it's the New England Patriots drafted the guy from UT Chattanooga because you see something in that player that fits you better than what outside forces think. I think that what is important for us is to be able to move people in the run game and to be able to anchor in the pass game. You look at the size, speed, and athleticism of the defensive linemen that are coming into this league now. The Philadelphia Eagles drafted a big giant that runs faster 10 than some receivers. So you look at the physical measurements and those things and kind of devise your plan based on that and how you want to play.
Will, you're a former coach, and so you understand this better because of the way you can do coaching and personnel at the same time. When we watched your club play the last 8 weeks of the season, did you feel like that it was tough enough? And can you kind of walk us through what you thought maybe some of the difficulties were you dealt with in that second half of the season?
Man, we got tough guys. It takes tough people to play this game, to make the conscious decision to run their body into other people and do it at a high level. So I think that really what happened toward the end of the season is, things happen. We won 12 games and it gets difficult. And what we were looking for is people to help get us over the hump, to form an identity. It's to continue to be more physical, but also be athletic, be fast, be long, and then have people that are committed to what we are trying to do organizationally. And I think that, we see that now in the off-season program. We've got 100% or close to 100% involvement from the players and those sort of things. And that's what you're looking for, is guys with the ability to compete at the NFL level at a high level, but also have the commitment to commit to what it is that we have to build to be able to contend for a championship. There has to be something. It's not just the Jimmies and the Joes, but it's how well the Jimmies and the Joes gel and get along together.
It's Will McClay with you here on The Fan. So with what's left of the offseason now, free agency, are you guys looking to make a bigger move with the significant amount of cap space that you have remaining, or do you anticipate smaller moves to fill out the roster?
I think we'll make the moves that make the most sense for us. I can't give you a high impact, flashy name or anything like that. It's when the opportunity presents itself. You look at your roster, you see what you have, you see where your holes are, and you see if you can add something to it. And it also has to fit into what we're doing financially as well as from a schematic standpoint with our team. Sometimes people throw things out there that they think is a name or whatever that matches, but it doesn't quite fit what you're trying to do. So we want to be strategic with that, and we want to be smart with that as to what fits our team the best.
Do you ever look at the team and coming up short in the playoffs and say, man, we can't do it all with the draft. We need to maybe be a little bit more aggressive looking for those kind of opportunities that you just described?
I think you're always looking for opportunities to improve your team, and I don't want to just give a very standard answer, but there's been there was a team this year that was the dream team and put together a bunch of free agents, and they had an opportunity to win, and they took advantage of it. But there's different strategies to doing it, and I feel good about our approach to it because there's a cap, there's players, there's so many things that you have to consider in that. And then there's not only the current, but there's also the future. Now we have to win now. That's kind of the mindset of the NFL now. But I think that if you can win now by doing things the right way, that doesn't cripple you for the future.
Will, if you could, in the little time we have left with you, can you tell us about the thought about drafting Clark, the linebacker from LSU? And is this more of you're hoping for the best because you guys got some of the best rehab people in the league, but is this something you're looking for maybe this year, or is this more of a 2023 type of an addition?
Well, from the information we've gotten from the doctors and stuff, there's a potential of him playing and doing something this year. But it's, again, not only for this year. I think whenever you draft, it's with every player you draft, it's not only for this year, but it's for the future because you have 5 years on the first rounders and you have 4 years on the other draft picks to be able to get them to add something positive to your team. So we're trying to get the best group of young men, and we want to get them to come in quickly and help us because, as we saw last year, and it takes 70 plus players to go through a season now with 17 games. So it comes to the players and their abilities, but also our abilities to coach them, get the best out of them, and then fit them into what we do.